Angry Joe here with the Global Brand Director for Tomb Raider, Crystal Dynamics. I'm really excited to talk to you. This is a really hot title. Everybody's been wanting an interview to ask about the new Tomb Raider. We got one for you. So let's ask a few questions about this brand new game. First, tell us a little bit about the new direction for Lara. Obviously, it seems like you guys are taking a more mature direction. It's not just, the big booyah-yahs, it's a mature game and tapered down in a more realistic type world. Can you talk to a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. Lara's been around for a long time, like 15 years. And when Lara came out, of course, she made a storm. It was like the first game in 3D that really, you got to travel around the world. And, over the last 15 years, we've continued that story. And now we took this real unique opportunity to go back to the beginning and tell an origin story, which we've never, ever told before. This is a real opportunity to give Lara a personality and really delve deep into what motivates her. And when we came up with this story of kind of throwing her on the island, shipwrecked and left for dead and having to find her friends, we realized very quickly that if we put the element of survival into it, that we couldn't treat that with kid gloves. We couldn't just sort of put the T rating on it and sort of say, okay, well, we expect you to play this emotional situation, but nothing's going to happen at the end of it.
Right.
So for us, we pushed it into the M-rated space. So now you really have that more sort of darker, visceral feeling to how she's going to become the Tomb Raider that we want her to be.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. A lot of people have been comparing it a little bit to Uncharted, but I think it's its own thing with the survival mechanic because she's in the forest. Let's speak a little bit about this survival of Lara. Obviously, she isn't this experienced. At this point, she isn't as experienced, so she isn't the badass that she is in some of the other games. So the survival mechanic, will you be, hunting for food, shooting deer, this kind of stuff? Is it more like that, or is it more story-driven?
It's more story-driven. It's about the survival of a character in a very psychological, a very determined way. There are survival elements where at the beginning of this demo that we're showing behind closed doors, you have to kill a deer because you need to eat. But really, that's a mechanic for us to teach the player about the bow, how to aim, how to move around, how to build up XP. One of the things we're very cautious of making sure is that we're not about picking berries and drinking your own pee.
Water World or something like that.
It's not that type of survival game.
Yeah.
This is more about how she's forced to do things which are the unthinkable. She's forced to have to kill somebody in an instance which it's kill or be killed. We've never really seen that before in a video game with the emotion that we're delivering.
Yeah, and it's looking great, especially, the origin story of Lara. So I know it's a little early, but seeing that it's rebooted, we could see more games past this one if it's successful in this universe with this particular Lara?
Yeah, I think our goal is to set a standard and set a foundation for the future of the franchise going forward right now. We're going back to the beginnings, and really in the game that you're going to play, you spend the first sort of hour and a half really seeing how she goes from zero to hero. And you go through those sort of iconic moments, those memorable moments that will sort of fester with you for the rest of the sort of days that Tomb Raider's around. It kind of makes you feel like, okay, when I get to Tomb Raider 2 and 3 and 4, should they happen? I remember when it happened in the first one, the reboot. So yeah, it's very important to us that we set a solid foundation right now for the future of the franchise.
And one thing that I saw is that, okay, she's in an environment that she's unfamiliar with, and you would think that, there's not a variety of environments, but what I saw in the press, in the trailer, and the demo is that there were some caves that were really claustrophobic feeling, and then it would open up and you're on this rushing river. What kind of different environments and different experiences can we expect in the game?
So it's very important to us that if we're going to present a game about a girl surviving on the island, that didn't all just happen underground.
It is called Tomb Raider.
Yeah, but you have to have valid reasons why to have to go into the tomb. So, putting it on an island, the island's a character for us. The island is somewhere where we're able to move around in various different locations, go deep into the mystery of what's happened on this island, who these scavengers are. And really for us, it's a Pandora's box of being able to present the character in a very unique and different light. And to do that, we want to be able to have a multitude of locations so you can get to see her act out in different ways.
And okay, it's time for some fan questions now. This is I don't know if you've heard of this. A lot of the feedback from the E3 and trailers and Twitter and all that is that they seem like Lara's a little too vocal. She's like oops, and it's a little too much. Is that just a presentation just for the demo, or do you think that that's a little muted? Can you turn that down, or have you noticed that?
So basically, when you begin playing the game from the outset, you are controlling a young 21-year-old girl who's never had to do this before.
Okay.
Within an hour of gameplay, that tones down because she's getting stronger. She's getting more equipped. So really the goal is to be able to bring you in that emotional journey, make you feel the pain that she's going through and every single situation and instance. So it's important to us that we don't kind of just fluff over that and sort of say, okay, well, you know, she's hardened already. We need to hear the emotion. Like when she kills this guy for the first time, she cries. She says, oh my God, she puts the gun on the ground and she's like, what have you made me do? I've had to do this because it was kill or be killed. So we have to be honest in making sure that we present it in the right way, that you feel the believability, because when she makes that turn and that breaking point, she becomes somebody else, and all of that starts to taper away because she's a stronger character. So you get to see the arc of Lara from beginning to end.
And that is driven through a lot of the cinematics in-game, in between missions, in the middle of missions. We'll be seeing a lot of that. About how long do you think the adventure of this game is for Lara?
Well, we're looking at, just if you start the game and play through it, without really going into some of the sort of the side story things, we're looking at about 10.5 hours plus. So it's very important to us that, you know, in this day and age, people spend money, disposable income, good money on their games. You want to make sure that, you know.
Friend, I spent $60 on Battleship, the video game. It didn't work out too much, you know, and this is, so we'll see.
So to us, you know, you feel like you need value. You know, the way I look at it is that, you know, you can watch a TV series, you get 10 episodes an hour ago, and we look at video games and we think with those emotions up and down, we want to make sure that the player feels like it's justified.
Right.
Not only have they had this visceral experience that's really energized them, but they feel like at the end of it, it was the right amount of time and it was value for money.
Yeah, so as long as it's not 4 hours long, you know, or something like that. It's definitely more substantial than that. So in addition to the single player, it seems like the focus is on story, but I do have to ask for the fans, another fan question, will there be multiplayer of any kind, or is this just a story about the origins of Lara?
This is about the story of Lara Croft and about how she becomes the Tomb Raider. So the studio isn't currently working on a multiplayer. Our goal is to make sure that we deliver the best experience possible with our new character.
I don't know. Another part of the plane?
Keep working.
Whoa, Hager! The tank's full!
Don't let it bleed out, man. That stuff is gold.
Another feedback from fans is they seem to see a lot of QTE events in the game. How much does this play into the actual gameplay? Is that going to be, you know, excessive? Are we going to be seeing a lot of those? And what is the focus on?
So I think when you play the game from start to finish, you'll feel like there's the right balance of QuickTime events. There's a certain amount of emotion and closeness that QuickTime events can bring you into that situation, and we've made sure that we've gotten the right balance all the way through the game. So at the beginning of the game, the QuickTime events are very valid. You feel like I'm having to participate in something that's bringing me there. I'm there beside her, participating in it, and I'm helping her. We taper off as the game goes through because they're less relevant when she becomes stronger and she gets into situations where she doesn't naturally need it. But I think it's very important to us that we don't fill the game and flush the game out with just too many QuickTime events. They're all put in for very specific reasons.
Okay, thank you very much. Is this an open world environment, or is it more just a sort of a guided story?
So one of the things we've been very keen on making sure we say is that we're not an open world game. We have built a new hub system which is very unique to Tomb Raider. It's the first time we've ever done it, and that basically what it means is that now that we've got dynamic traversal and the ability to be able to move around in this world like never before with sort of the dynamic movements that you've been seeing inside the game, we've built these large hub systems that you can explore and re-explore. You can come back into them over time, and really that's a big deal for us because it allows the player to be truly an explorer, which is what Lara's all about.
Yeah, and okay, so that lends itself well to replayability. Are there any collectibles? What reasons would you have to replay the game?
There's tons of collectibles. When you come into a space, you realize that through gear gating, which means you may not have the right gear to be able to access specific areas or access them. Over time, you'll start to improve your gear through gear gating, and you'll be able to come back in and open up new areas and find new collectibles and so side stories and all the rest of the fun stuff that makes you want to keep playing the game over and over and over again.
Sounds good, sounds good.
What the hell?
All of this is sounding really great. So what systems can we expect Lara to show up on, and when is the game coming out?
So the game is due for release on March 5th, 2013, and it's coming on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, and PC.
Is there any differences between the versions?
No, I think each platform always brings along with it its variations. We're working very hard to make sure that the game is optimized for each of those platforms, you know?
And what about DLC plans or anything like that?
Yeah, yesterday morning on the Microsoft keynote, we announced that we're going to have some timed exclusives. So we're very excited to talk to everybody about the plans for that over time. But for right now, it's kind of all we're giving away on that.
Right. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show.
You can do it, Lara. After all, you're a Croft.
I don't think I'm that kind of Croft.
Sure you are. You just don't know it yet.